Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped. Now then, if you are observant, you may well recognise the backdrop. I've come to visit my friend Oliver and his dad Nigel at Mans Coupes. I was here about 12 months ago driving my first Superformance GT40 and Mk3 Cobra. But I've come to visit a very special car today. Oliver said, would you like to come and see Dad's AC? It's a very, very special car. It's a one-off. And arguably, the car behind me is the car that AC never made, but should have. Now then guys, first up, let me introduce Nigel, who you avoided the camera the last time I was here. You let Oliver do all of the work.
I'm camera shy, yeah.
First off, this is a stunning, stunning car. There's so much to talk about and unpack with this car. And we're going to do our best to make this video not an hour long.
Yeah, well, it would be, definitely.
So before we start about the car, a bit of backstory for the guys about you and historics, especially around ACs and so on, because you've owned some lovely cars, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got involved with ACs in 1971. I bought an AC Ace 2.6, one of the Rudspeed cars, but always wanted a Cobra.
Yeah.
And sold that, made a little bit of a profit, and bought a Cobra that needed restoring, which I did. And then I had an opportunity through a friend of mine who'd restored a Cobra to actually buy the 1963 Le Mans car, 39 PH, which is a well-known car.
I've seen it race at Goodwood.
Yeah. Well, I raced it 8 times at Goodwood. Wow. So I had people like Desiree Wilson drove it with me. Who else? I had Martin Bourrain, who owned Mondello Park and Lola's at one time. Wow. I'd raced it with Frank Gardner, and he took it out for the first practice and came back. He was a great joker, and he said, well, I've just torn up my acceptance speech. Because I think that was the first time I raced it in 1998, and it still had a relatively stock engine.
Yeah.
And we put it back on the Webbers and all the rest of it. And then Richard Atwood drove it and said it was the nicest Cobra he'd ever driven. And it's gone on racing at Goodwood. Anyway, from that, I sold the car because I got myself into various problems and needed the money. Sold it for a lot of money, I thought. Yeah. And about 2 years later, it was worth millions, which so I got it wrong in that respect. But I had 35 years of joy with it.
Wow.
I raced it in Japan. I raced it in an all Cobra race at Donington, and I had a wonderful amount of fun with it. Anyway, we move on. I then went on to race load of T70s and raced them for about 35 years. And when I had to sell the T70, I had a medical problem, and sold it. And I said, I want to stay in historic cars. Yeah. And a friend of mine owned this car, Richard Dodkins, and I made him an offer, and it's here. And I bought it for myself, it's I think 16 years ago now, and wanted to restore it to what I wanted. So we stripped it back to bare aluminium. And when I got it, there were all sorts of dings down here and things, and I thought, oh, but when we got the paint off it, apart from the ding there, it was just, it had painted so many times that the cracks weren't aluminium, they were paint.
Oh, wow.
So I stripped it all the way back to aluminium, had it resprayed, and then we set about, I didn't like the original original trim work in here, because it was built in 1980 by a chap named Werner Oswald, who's well known for the Fraser Nash Le Mans replicas.
Right, yeah.
So he was doing those, and his brother had a AC 428 Frewer that had been in an accident or a fire, I'm not sure which, and he had an AC Aseeker with no something, I can't remember, I don't think it had an engine or an axle or anything, and he always wanted to do what I've always wanted to do and make the Cobra Coupe that AC should have built, in my opinion. So he created it, so it's effectively a 427 or a Mk3 Cobra chassis, all independent with the standard Salisbury diff. But what he'd also got hold of, which makes the car, in my opinion, is the 1969 NASCAR engine, which had a Ford Windsor block and Cleveland heads, which are huge ported heads.
Should we take a look?
Yeah, let's have a look.
Let's have a quick look at this.
And when I got the car, it was supposed to have been rebuilt and lovely.
Oh boy. Now, I've already had a quick look around the car before we got the cameras out, and the one thing I didn't expect, when you look at it, it's quite a diminutive car on the outside. You expect, I don't know, a straight six or
yeah, small straight six,
something. I didn't expect a NASCAR engine.
No. And,
so tell us more. That is a thing of beauty.
well, they built them only in the year 1969, and it was some sort of homologation thing for NASCAR at that time. I mean, we're going back to 69. And there weren't that many engines built. And the guy that built it, I said, Werner Oswald, got hold of an engine. He also got hold of a Richmond 4+1 gearbox, which makes this car so drivable in modern traffic, because you've got a fifth gear and you can cruise along at sort of 1800 RPM at 55, 60 miles an hour quite happily. Whereas 39 PH, when I put it on the road with the gearing and the 4-speed box, it was horrible on the motorway. It was screaming all the time. It was dreadful. I mean, it was absolutely wonderful round the roads, but this is a very usable car. Anyway, so I took the engine to Steve Warrior of Warrior Motorsport, who's done all the engines for the GT40s. He did it for our FIA car. He's won the 6 Hour several times, and he's a very, very well respected engine builder. And I told him what we'd got, and he said, well, what we'll do, we'll rebuild it and we'll change the cam a bit to make it a little less uncivilized.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, and I've driven a few, it's the best V8 I have ever driven.
Wow.
It's a 5 litre with a single Holly, but it's got the vacuum secondary. And you can potter about in it, or you can go like stink. And I just, as I said, it's the best engine I've done.
So what kind of performance figures, power and torque?
Well, it's 409 bhp, and I haven't got the figures in my hand, but it's a similar sort of torque.
Wow.
So I mean, it wants treated with respect.
It can't weigh a great deal.
No, it's under a ton. Yeah, because it's all alley.
Yeah.
And it's just a great little car, and I mean, it's very much 60s, but it's lovely to drive.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So was this ever on the cards for AC to
I don't
make
think
this
so.
car?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'd have to speak to the Herlocks, but
Yeah.
I just think it was an obvious one. You know, when Shelby stopped buying them, you know, they built the AC, what they called it, AC 289, and then I don't know, they just stopped it then. I don't know what happened. I mean, you're probably financial, but I just thought it was a no-brainer. You know, Shelby had given the say, well, stick a big V8 in a lightweight European chassis.
Yeah.
You've got a great car.
Yeah.
But I just loved it, and when I saw it, and Richard loved it as well, Richard Dodkins, who I bought it off, and I decided that, you know, I'd make it into the car I wanted and keep it.
Yeah.
And here it is. And in fact, when Werner had it made, he had the interior it was like a tan seat and a grey carpet, and it just didn't look right.
Yeah.
But unbelievably, I had 3 trimmers go broke on me doing this car.
No.
Yeah, so I had the first trimmer, stripped it all out so nobody knew where anything was. He went broke.
Yeah.
I moved it to another guy, and he went broke.
Oh no.
It's just bad timing. And eventually I got the chap that does a lot of work for McLaren to finish it off.
Right. Okay.
So he's a trimmer for McLaren, and he's done a lovely job. You know,
Yeah.
we've got proper door cards, and it's all Wilton carpets and Connolly leather. And I just think with the blue is really nice.
It's a stunning, stunning thing.
Yeah.
And I can't believe you're going to be kind enough to let me drive it.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a nice car to drive. It's 60s, but it's a nice car to drive.
So
And yeah.
I think we need to get some cameras set up
Right.
and take it for a spin.
I look forward to driving it.
It
I mean,
just-
look toward you driving.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah.
I've manoeuvred it from the garage down there, and it sounds amazing. So I can't wait to get it.
Well, the
open.
outside sound, I went out yesterday to make sure it was all okay for you.
Yeah.
Did 15 or 16 miles, and one of my mechanics had gone down the road in his car, and I had to stop for a BMW reversing into a driveway. I thought, well, I'll give it some welly, and I gave it some welly, and he phoned up and said, that is fantastic. The sound of that. So
Right.
there you go.
Well, Nigel, it's a pleasure to get you on camera.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invite to drive such a special
It's
car.
a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
I said we'll put as much detail as I can in the description, but a very, very special car.
It is. Well,
Very
it's
special.
unique.
Yeah.
There's no other.
Yeah.
I mean, there's several Aseekers that have had V8s put in them, but still with the 3-inch tube and the transverse leafs. This is well, I said it's a 427 Cobra chassis with a Aseeker body on it. So
What a good summary to finish.
I think so.
Now then, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel, Oliver. Dude.
Oh,
Oh,
there's
that'll be the horn.
Thank you. Hello.
So getting in and out of these is interesting.
It's your 6'2" frame, my friend.
I know, I'm just too tall. Too tall. God, don't you just love racing harnesses?
Helps if I put these
Great,
on
aren't
right.
they? And this might sound really sad. These are my favourite racing harnesses. Do you know why?
Go on.
When I was a kid, I built a Saudi Leyland liveried Williams F1 car model,
Nice.
Tamiya one,
Yeah.
and it had Willans harnesses in it.
Nice.
And for me, that just was always, whenever I thought about building a kit car or having a race car, I just wanted Willans harnesses because they're cool.
Yeah, it's funny how those things are sentimental. Nigel always used to race, he always had a Bell crash helmet and Avon tyres, and I always wanted to race on Avon slicks with a Bell helmet. It's just those little throwbacks, isn't it?
Wow. So your dad's run us through the ins and outs of this beautiful car.
Yes.
I can't actually believe he's going to let me drive it. It's beautiful in here. An interesting ergonomic design.
Yes.
It's not doing anything for me hair.
Yeah, no.
But
yeah. This, I believe, can get pinned up.
Yeah.
Just when we're trimmed, there's a natural point here and here. But yeah.
So very heavy clutch
Yep.
compared to a modern day car.
Yes.
And actually not that canted off to the right in
Yeah.
terms of some Cobras and that. It's quite an awkward position, but a lovely wood trimmed steering wheel.
Yeah, it's all very classically correct. It's period
Should we
correct.
fire up this NASCAR engine?
Let's do it.
So first click is
First
pumps.
click will get the pumps going, then a couple of pumps on the throttle, and then turn the key. It should go.
Oh yeah,
It's nice, isn't it?
that's great. Right. Here we go. Oh boy.
It's nice, isn't it? It's just an unexpected. You see a sleek, quaint Aseeker,
Yeah.
and then you have this rumble of a V8.
It's not when you started it up in the garage. There's a counterintuitive thing. It's not the noise that you expect with the car,
Correct. Yeah.
but it's very cool.
Yeah. It works.
Very,
doesn't it?
very cool. And I mean, we're just warming the car up. One of the things we don't have, surprisingly, is air conditioning.
Yeah.
And a very big NASCAR engine that gets very hot up front. So
It
we've
does,
got the
yeah.
windows open.
Yeah. It's the legs that get the warmth.
The legs
just means
get
it's
in the
okay
work.
to drive in the winter.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
There's quite a lot of action needed on the brake pads. We need to give it a good firm kind of push.
It's like we do with Le Mans Coupes. This is a genuine 60s car. So everything is as it was in the 60s, and
Yeah.
with like you say, a NASCAR engine. There's no servo assistance on the brakes or power steering. It's just a genuine 60s experience. So nothing's power assisted. It's all raw. And again, like the other cars that you've kindly come and looked at for us, what you put in, you get out.
Yeah. So straight away, when your dad was talking about the engine and the work you've done on the cams to make it just a bit more road friendly.
Yeah.
Because when you said it was a NASCAR engine, I'm instantly thinking it's going to be very canny and quite unfriendly.
Yeah.
It's really not at all.
No, the brief was to have a usable, car on the road. Period car. Yeah. So clearly, drop a gear, clear its throat. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the brief was to have a usable car. You could change the cams and probably find another 20 or 30 horsepower, whatever the figures work out at.
Yeah.
But it wasn't about ultimate power, it's about drivability and usability.
Yeah.
So, it's the ideal car to hop in and go to Goodwood or, to Silverstone Classic or Le Mans Classic, those sorts of things. It's got plenty of usable space, but you can just go touring in it.
You would be the coolest person in the world if you rocked up to Goodwood in this.
Exactly right.
Oh mate, what a special car.
And it's period correct with the running gear, or the suspension is the same as the 427 SC. So you've got full independent suspension all round, so it gives a nice compliant ride, but equally period correct.
Yeah. Wow.
We like wow.
I love coming to see you, mate, because every time I do, you put a moronic grin on my face and let me drive amazing cars.
Oh, it's good fun, and you know, this is something. Well, it's a unique car, so it's one of one.
What I love about it is it's the kind of car that you really have to drive.
Yeah.
You know, when you drive modern cars all the time, you kind of forget they do everything for you.
Yeah, yeah.
The steering is so artificial because it's got servo assistance, and you know, it's probably in most cars not even a direct connection between the steering wheel and the front wheel.
100%.
So instantly the steering, you've really got to use your feel, the throttle, the brakes, everything about the car, and then you can just feel the suspension. And we're doing, you know, we're not even going quickly, but you can just feel the car moving around underneath you.
Yeah.
And it's what driving's about for me.
It's that engaging, visceral experience, and yeah, you know, it's got adjustability, you know, tyre pressures, suspension settings, etc. But it's a lovely. I feel this is a lovely road setup on it. You know, we're going at the roads around here aren't the best. Takes the bumps quite nicely, but you can still press on and have the confidence in the car. But like you say, it's a throwback, and it's not like a modern car where it does everything for you. So you sort of build learning the car, get your confidence in it, and then it really rewards it.
Yeah.
Really rewards you. Sorry, when you you know, when you crack on.
I'd imagine
press
you
on.
need quite a bit of seat time to really understand the car and kind of get to its envelope, if that makes sense.
I think it depends on your background, but yeah, with any of the cars that we sell, I always advise taking your time to learn the car, because there aren't the driver aids. There's nothing there to sort of nanny you.
Yeah.
It's on you. So you want to build to that level, because you don't want to cross the line too soon, because you'll end up sideways or you know, anything
traction
like that.
control and ABS are my right foot.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and yeah, it comes down to then reaction times. But I that's what I love about driving, right? It's you and the machine, rather than a computer saying, right, do this. It's you go, and I just find it so rewarding when you get it right.
I think as well, when you drive a car like this from the 60s or the 70s, you kind of almost have to take yourself back to the 60s and think, okay, so this is an amazing car today. What the hell was it like if you were in the 60s surrounded by whatever the standard family car was
little
back
Ford
then?
Anglias.
It was like 35 horsepower.
Yeah.
This has got 400 horsepower, for goodness sake.
And it sounds raw as well, you know, that presence on the road is,
So I don't know what the red line is, but
you're about 6.5.
Yeah, so I'm not,
so you're not there yet.
Near it yet, and
No.
I'm sure I probably won't.
Yeah. Well, this car, as you know, is for sale, so want you to have some fun. But
so let's talk about that for a bit, because your dad didn't really want to talk too much about it being for sale, because I get the feeling he doesn't really want to sell it.
Yeah, no, it's his pride and joy. You know, he's owned it for I think 15 or 16 years, so it's been, you know, lovingly restored and faithfully restored by Nigel over those years.
Yeah.
And we're in a very fortunate position as a business that we have lots of 60s cars that we get to enjoy.
Yeah.
And so this just hasn't been getting the use that it deserves.
Yeah.
So it's time to move it onto a home where hopefully it will get some use, or into a loving collection.
Yeah. I think, this is a collector's piece for sure.
Oh, well, one
With
of
its
one.
provenance, it's the only one. I'll put your email in the
thank you.
Anybody out there interested in buying this car?
Yeah.
If only I hadn't just bought another car. And
you're right.
I've got no idea how much it would be worth, but quite a bit, I would guess.
It would have to start with a 2 into the 100,000.
£20,000.
£20,000.
Really?
Yeah, that's the deposit, and then and then the rest. We had it unofficially valued by a very well-known name in the industry at 250,000.
Wow.
I think, you know, I'd never turn down money, but that's likely a little bit on the higher side.
Yeah.
So, you know,
You didn't tell me that before you asked me to drive it. I didn't realise it was £250,000.
should have checked your insurance, shouldn't I?
Oh boy.
Yeah. So north of 200,000 we'll get the car.
Wow. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just wicked. surface is pretty poor, and
Yeah,
it
I
deals
know.
with it really well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's more like it, a bit of pace.
Yeah.
It is one of those engines and cars, the quicker you go, the more it likes it.
Oh yeah, it comes to life. Like, you know, over 3.5, 4,000 RPM, the engine gets happy.
Yeah.
You know, it starts saying thank
It's
you.
like,
let's
oh,
go.
fine, now
Yeah,
you're revving me, thanks.
Yeah.
Like, you know. Oh, it's wicked. What's nice actually is that there are quite a few the kind of cars of this era that stylistically I love,
Yeah.
but then you just know that they're going to be disappointing from a performance point of view because you're comparing them with modern day cars
Yeah.
and performance, right? I don't think I can't say that about this car.
Yeah. I think a lot of modern day car focuses on 0 to 60, you know, and ultimate lap times. And I think when you strip away that mentality of I've got to be the fastest thing out there, you then get down to the driving experience.
Yeah.
And this is where something like this comes to life, because again, it's got a bit of character.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a bit of roll through the corners, but you've got the punch of the V8.
Yeah. And that noise.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that flat on the throttle?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So you. No.
no. I haven't got my big boy brake pants
Yeah,
on
no,
today.
I noticed that. You haven't gone full chat just yet.
No. Mate, what a thing. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
It is always lovely to come and, whenever I come to see you, we always have lovely cars to look at, a really good chat, a good coffee,
Yeah.
and then you let me drive something really, really special.
No, well, long may it continue.
Yeah.
Long may it continue.
Well, yeah, stay tuned. There's something special coming very soon. We can't tell you about it right now. Mate, thank you for that. I'm going to draw this video to a close.
Yeah.
I'll put all the details below of Oliver. If you are interested in this car and you've got a spare £250,000 sloshing around in your Fun Day account,
Yep.
then you know where to contact. But I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Let us know what you think of this beautiful, beautiful car.
See you all later.
AC Aseeker?
Aseeker.
Aseeker? No, you see, I'm glad I waited till the end to get it wrong. With basically Mk3 Cobra.
Correct, yeah, it's the AC Cobra Coupe.
Why didn't you make it? It's criminal.
I know. But this one's here and available.
Exactly. Anyway, while we wander through this 30 mile an hour limit, I'll see you on the next film, guys. If you enjoyed that one, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. Massive thanks to Oliver and his dad Nigel for the invite today. But we've got a bit more time. I think we'll carry on driving this car a little bit more. We'll see you on the next film, guys. You take care. Drive safe.
Cheers.